to see you all. Good morning. I know it's a Wednesday. It is a Wednesday. It feels like a Wednesday. So, my name is Jack. I've been involved in the crypto space since 2013. Actually, fun fact, not the first time giving a presentation at the block. I gave one way back in the day in the good old days of 2017. So, during the ICO boom, we came a long way. So I started again, like I said, in 2013 with a company called BitAd. We did decentralized advertising. And then in 2017, 2018, I started a decentralized social media company called Discussions. And then most recently, I last worked at via on and off ramp at a company called Ramp for a year and a half from 2021 to 2022. And now I work at Galxe. So my job at Galxe is an ecosystem developer. I help ecosystems kickstart. That means we help them grow users, grow the user count, make sure they retain their community. So that's a little bit what I'm going to talk about today, which is about how you get people on board into the space. But the title of the talk is Gamification, not games, and I want to sort of hinge on the onboarding process on this specific idea, and I think this is very important because from my perspective, the trajectory of the industry right now, I don't think they are operating on a set of principles that would make us successful, to put it very diplomatically. So I want to talk a little bit about Axie, because you can't talk about blockchain games while talking about Axie. Axie is the one that got the term play to earn, breeding, battling, these game mechanics, very popular. And at one point, they attracted 1.5 billion in TVL, and users usually to measure successfully using crypto is how much money you could lock away and use as your liquidity pool. So, the hype was real. We saw a lot of investment into blockchain games. So during the year from 2022, we had over $7 billion invested into blockchain games. This is a lot of money. And in 2021, we have $4 billion. So there was a lot of investment, a lot of talent, a lot of people spending their time building out blockchain games. Inevitably, this is crypto. We saw the decline of blockchain games. You can see here that at one point the GameFi transaction accounted for almost $26 billion in transaction value, whereas now we're barely sitting at $6 billion. But we have seen this story before, right? We have seen this with ICOs, as I mentioned earlier. In ICO, we had massive influx of capital into the token space, only for it to collapse. At the tail ends of 2018 and 2019. That was sort of the very painful, very long winter that we have experienced. But we're still here, right? And during those times, 2017, 2018, there were a lot of shitcoins for sure, like a lot of pump and dumps. You have an ERC20 contract, you copy and paste, you change the parameters a little bit, change the inflation rate, boom, you have a new token. But amongst all those bad tokens and bad ICOs, we have some gems, like MakerDAO, right? Not only did they recover their price actions, you can see here's 2018, it barely even looks, noticeable compared to what happened during the DeFi summer that we had earlier. So again, even if the price doesn't improve dramatically, and you can see here, Uniswap, my favorite project, also my least profitable project. You can see here, they never quite recovered after DeFi summer, but again, they had this little bump here that was 2018, you couldn't even see it, and now we're sort of sitting down here. But at the end of the day, what they provided was a technology layer that, even though it's not reflected in the token price, and I think that's one of the other things that we really need to think about how we measure success in this space, is, even though the token price is not where it used to be, it doesn't mean they have not contributed significantly in terms of technology. And, many DEXs and AMMs built using their technology process billions and billions of dollars in transaction value, right? So the point I want to make is that even though blockchain gaming is in a very, very bad space right now, it doesn't mean that we aren't going to come back. And I could just end my presentation there, but that's not what I'm talking about. I have problems. And I have problem with blockchain games. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to rant about blockchain games. So, blockchain is not the end, and investors don't think this is the end. We're still pumping massive amount of money into building games. But just like the ICO of 2017, there are a lot of terrible ICOs. Have we learned our lesson? Have we learned to distinguish what is a good blockchain game and what's a bad blockchain game? And in my argument, I don't think we have learned thus far. So what we see right now is just a bunch of copycats. Like if you squint, you could really tell these from each other, right? They all have the same car system. They all have the same collect and battle mechanics. Maybe they have XP and whatever. All these games is a copy of each other. And as an industry, from the projects that are getting invested and the projects that are getting built, I think this is what the industry has learned, right? The lesson they have learned is we need to make fun games. We need to compete with traditional games on engaging users. We need to have NFTs, create scarcity, create this financial layer on top of these projects. We need to make it play to earn. Projects need to be financially rewarding in order for it to be successful. And then lastly, token economics. And obviously this is almost a moot point. The token economics of Axie and all these other games are all broken. We just need to improve these economic models. So this is the principle on which the blockchain gaming sector is operating on. And I want to make the argument that maybe that's not right. Maybe it's not really the games we should focus on. And I want to highlight this with a very specific example. I want to highlight, there's this game called DeFi Kingdom. They didn't escape the fall of the gaming boom, just like MakerDAO and Uniswap also had their price decrease quite significantly. But DeFi Kingdom stood out as a very unique game. And it stood out as a unique game because it focused a lot on narrative. It wasn't about, they weren't hiding the blockchain technology behind funny characters or behind a battle system. What they did is use what game designers do and graph a layer of narrative on it. In DeFi Kingdom, you're a hero, and the hero is represented as an avatar, right, an NFT. And when you want to, I want to do this real quick because I think on the point of narrative, when I first stumbled on DeFi Kingdom, the first thing I noticed was the music. And I know music is a super subjective thing, but I just think DeFi Kingdom had some of the best. So it's this medieval theme, this is the first thing you hear when you enter the website. I know it's very cheesy, it reminds you of these old internet websites, but it takes your mind away from that financial aspect of it. Yeah, and that's what a lot of the blockchain games fail to do. They don't take your mind away from the fact that you're on the top of your mind, you're thinking, I'm here to spend my time, I'm here to earn money. Whereas DeFi Kingdom, what they realized was that approach actually, that approach is the same reason why crypto did not have a lot of users before. Crypto was not very approachable before Axie Infinity. People thought of crypto, they saw crypto as financial vehicles, they thought them as investments, financial instruments, and that was true. That was true. But with Axie, they were able to wrap it around a gaming narrative of collecting animals and characters and battling against each other. And, that was not my intention. Okay, so in DeFi Kingdom, you would, if you want to, you're a hero, you're in this new land, and the first thing you need to do is get some of the local currency. And what do? You go to trader and you make a trade. Very simple, easy to understand. And then let's say you want to, contribute to, you want to earn some money in the kingdom. You want to contribute somehow. When you go to garden, and then you would put in your seeds, which is the tokens you get. I know this is not perfect analogy, but it's not bad. So you tend your gardens, you provide liquidity to the DEX, and all this is done in a narrative that's very simple to understand. And this is extremely powerful because when I was working at Ramp, I had to run a workshop to teach people how to use DEX and to use liquidity pools and do all these complex financial blockchain operations. These people are very smart people. Like they're working with projects. They're working on projects like Immutable. They're working with SoRare. They're working with DEXs. They're working with NFT minting platforms. But they have never used those products. Why? Not because they're dumb. Because they didn't have the time. They were scared of these platforms because they're so unapproachable. But with DeFi Kingdom, you were able to wrap a narrative and wrap these game elements that really are able to engage with the user, and you can walk them through. And this goes back to the real lesson we should take away from blockchain games. This graph is a little weird, but this is a graph of users, monthly players on Axie Infinity, and at one point actually reached 4 million users. So right now, a lot of blockchain applications are really struggling to get adoption. And one of the main reasons is the usability, is the user experience. And it's like just the intimidation factor of interacting with any protocol. I wanted to include a screenshot of Curve here, but I didn't have enough time. But if you know Curve, you see the interface. Yeah, my grandma's not going to use that. So what are the real lessons? I think instead of investing in games, we should invest into gamification. We need to make sure the product is narrative driven. We need to put user experience first. We need to focus on interfaces that appeal to the user. And just not, I know a lot of builders are programmers and they want to be most efficient as possible, they want to be as logical as possible, but they don't take into consideration that maybe this is someone coming to their platform for the very first time. And they need a lot of handholding and they need a lot of explanations in order to actually interact with it. Going beyond financials, the reason why I played that soundtrack earlier is, again, these are financial primitives that we are building with, but we need to understand that it transcends that. That's just the building block. So with things like music, with things like design, you could have a much deeper emotional engagement with your audience rather than just the monetary incentive. And interactive education. We don't teach people how to use our application. We just have the buttons there and we just accept, we just expect users to accept that they will understand it, right? We don't explain them what a DEX is, why are these tokens here, what is the slippage rate. We don't explain all of that, and we do need to explain that. But we need to explain it in a way that's very interactive and doesn't treat the user as a dumb person coming into the space for the first time, but just as someone that's new, that's never used these applications before. So that's the main lesson I have to say about games and gamification. So if you're still putting money into blockchain games, please reconsider. Maybe look into a project like ours, Galxe. This is the upgrade. Okay. So we do actually a lot of cool stuff. So I talked a bunch about games and gamification, but how would you apply gamification, right? And at Galxe we had a lot of experience doing that. So Polygon came to us. They were launching their. They were launching on OpenSea. OpenSea just integrated them. They wanted to drive activity. They wanted to drive engagement on the chain through OpenSea. So that was a challenge. And then we crafted a really creative, fun solution where you would buy these NFT mystery packs and you open them and then you get one of these 4 characters. And then once you get all 4 characters, you combine them into one NFT, right? So it's a really cool experience. And again, if you think about it, OpenSea itself is not a game, but you could build a lot of game elements into the interaction with the platform. So that's just one thing we do. We also have, just for the results. So what happened was we were able to mint 130,000 NFTs, and we did 15,000 Polygon Genesis creators for. So that's this guy. Okay. We also not only apply gamification for our partners, we also do it internally. So this is a partner dashboard. So this is what you see when you sign up for the Galxe space, and you see here you get you do things and you get points and you level up. As you level up, you get like different benefits. You know, you get a special role in our space called the astronaut, because again with Galxe you're astronauts, you're exploring the space. And we've been very successful doing gamification. And this is why I say, don't just throw more money in games. Look into learning from game developers and the techniques they employ for your application, and that's exactly what we did. And today we have about 13 million plus users, we have about 300,000 daily active users, 3.9 thousand partners across 22 blockchains, and we minted over 100 million credentials. Credentials is shorthand for the NFTs that we give users when they complete tasks. So yeah, that's my presentation, and the point I want to make is gamification, not games, that will take us to the next billion user. Thank you. I guess I'll take questions, if there are any.
Yeah, at some point you talk about the play to earn.
Yes.
Do you think it's something which is viable? Because my feeling is that, you know, like if you play to earn, that's called work. So,
yeah, that's a great point. Again, I think these are sort of the lessons that the industry have learned. To answer your question, sorry, to go back to your question, playing to earn, that's just working, right? Yes. But if you frame it in a narrative of gamification, if you're making work fun, what is the harm in that? So to answer your question, I'm not completely sold on play to earn. I think that model might work for some specific projects, but I think it's much more interesting for us to think about how we could gamify work through blockchain incentive. For example, like taking a blockchain course to get an NFT credential. You know you're learning, you know you're putting effort in, but it can still be fun. It doesn't have to be boring, right? We help like onboarding users. We onboarded a lot of users into DeFi protocols, into NFT minting platforms. There was like for them, a lot of them, they want to achieve that incentive reward, which is what you do for work. So for them, like they're working to like, oh, I need to provide a liquidity pool. I need to do X, Y, Z steps to provide liquidity in this pool so I can reap the financial reward of it. So that's kind of work if you think about it. But if you can make it fun, what's the harm in that? And I think, yeah, I'm probably over-answering the question.
Yeah, because I still think there is some interesting use cases of blockchain for games. Like I'm a competitive Magic the Gathering player. Yeah. Like you have prizes, but I'd say like for me the prizes are not the main driver, but the fact that the prizes are there is very interesting because that creates some sort of competitive environment. Yeah. People will never quit a match because if they quit a match they lose international prizes, and you have a bit of the thrill of winning. And most players they would be negative, probably even negative when we come to the transport cost. But money can make stuff which are fun even more fun in some way.
Yeah, in some cases, right? But I think most of the copycats, like these play to earn copycats, they're not very fun. Like
Is it Axie on the bottom?
Yes, that's right. See, they're all so similar. Like they're all just copying each other. Like all these, just like ERC20 contracts, copy and paste. But if the financial incentives takes priority over the play part, you're right. You can't really call that a game, right? And you could try as hard as you can to put nice graphics or cool designs or whatever. At the end of the day, you're asking people to do something. You're just masking it up. Whereas again, whereas in a tournament where you already want to compete, the prizes are just extra. Like you say, just extra rewards, right? They're almost social proof that you're a good competitor or you're a good Magic the Gathering player. So yeah.
It's not even just that it's an extra reward, it's that the prizes create the competitive environment.
Yeah, that too. I think like in the if you, where would the play to earn model be successful? The most successful place that the play to earn model would be something like MMORPG, right? Where you have this vast world with a lot of different people with different objectives. They're free to pursue their own objectives within the game. So they have different parties, and if you have this in-game currency, they can transact with each other. What I have seen is we don't invest money into MMORPGs, at least not in the blockchain sense, or at least if we are to go that route, my recommendation would be to convince an establishing MMORPG to launch a token, because again, it's so hard to build an economy. And again, I'm going off track, but yes. I'm not very good at taking questions.
Thank you for the presentation. A short question.
Yeah.
I understand the value of gamification. On
Yeah.
the long term, do you believe as you say, some MMORPG or the major games? I'm thinking about League of Legends, Counter-Strike,
Yeah.
Fortnite, that have millions and millions of users. Would they use NFT and blockchain tech at some point or not?
I think it's inevitable, but I also think that it's inevitable that most digital infrastructure will be blockchain-based in the future. The question is how long, and the question is which hurdles we have to overcome. Right now, we still tackle the base technological issues of scalability, being able to accommodate users, being able to process a lot of data and logic. We haven't even gotten touched on to the legal aspect of it, intellectual property, which is a more interesting hurdle and more difficult challenge, right? Because again, if you're gonna have an MMORPG where everyone's able to pursue their own objective and freely trade and craft digital items, right? I think if you're gonna have a truly blockchain game, you can't just have one company issuing the content. You need to enable other people to issue content as well. How do you enforce content rights? How do you license out content? All these are very, very complicated issues that I don't think it's gonna be resolved anytime soon. So we might resolve the technology first, but all these legal, societal, cultural changes, it's gonna take a long, long time.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.